Is Peter Parker ready to enter a brand new chapter in his life, or will he keep making the same mistakes that he always has? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 29 and find out for ourselves, shall we? Well, now, isn't this nice? After what feels like 2 arcs in a row focusing on everything but the main character, issue number 29 of Spider-Man shines the spotlight very much on the life of Peter Parker. In particular, his relationship with Mary Jane and how it's about to change in a pretty big way soon. MJ's getting back into acting, as you may recall from a previous issue, and we're even going to get to follow her adventures in LA in another spin-off series. FYI, the dude writing her new movie is totally Mysterio Quentin Beck, but none of them know that yet. Peter is overjoyed and happy for MJ to finally feel so fulfilled again, but at the same time, he's so worried about seeing her go, it only feels like they just recently got back together. Mary Jane tries to remind him that this isn't like they're breaking up or anything. He's a superhero. He could very easily come to visit her in LA whenever he wanted, and she's gonna come back and visit him too in between the shoots. Her plane leaves at 7 that night, and Pete swears that he'll be back to see her off once he's done a day of being Spider-Man, although they both know from enough experience that when Peter makes a promise like that, something will almost certainly come along to ruin it. Peter takes a lot of these emotions and confides in Aunt May about what's going on, while at the same time helping her repair the damage to the Feast Center that was done in the last arc. May is actually incredibly insightful here, saying that all this frustration and worrying that Pete is feeling right now, hey man, that's just what love feels like. In fact, as Aunt May puts it, her and Ben had actually broken up several times before they eventually got married. May hated it when Ben got called off to war, but they stuck it out and stayed together because, well, they were made for each other, and in fact, May was always 100% certain that Peter and MJ would end up together. Why do you think May and MJ's aunt set them up in the first place? This pep talk actually helps Peter feel a lot better, but what happens next ends up dragging him right back down, and that is the reappearance of Teresa Parker, aka his long-lost sister. Which, given the fact that she's finally showing up in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man now, I think is probably the ultimate co-signing for this character and their legitimacy. May is aware of Teresa, likes her, but has not been fully brought up to speed on all the specifics yet, and I mean, really, that's an awkward conversation to have with anybody. Teresa has come to Peter today in great need, searching for help in recovering an old friend of hers, an agent from her spy days who has gone missing, kidnapped by the Chameleon. It seems that this agent, a former S.H.I.E.L.D. member, had been sitting on a ton of the organization's deadliest secrets, including where they stored all their decommissioned helicarriers and other superweapons. Chameleon is going to probe this dude's mind to death in order to get all the valuable secrets out, but that's not exactly what he wants. He's looking for something much more secretive that only this guy could know. Something no doubt tied to the Chameleon's own plans to seek revenge on Spider-Man for the death of his brother, Kraven the Hunter. Spider-Man and Teresa, yes, she doesn't have a fun code name or superhero moniker yet, if you can believe it, even though she has a bunch of cool spy tech, raid the AIM stronghold, make short work of all the yellow-cladded goons, only to find out that Chameleon is long gone. It's left up in the air whether or not he actually got the information he was seeking or not. During the battle, Pete is pretty despondent, crunching the numbers in his head and wondering that if he leaves right now, he could probably make it to see MJ off. Ultimately, though, he does decide helping out his sister and this poor dude is ultimately the better choice. And later that night, when Peter FaceTimes MJ to apologize, she ultimately agrees with him. She says, yeah, back in the day, it hurt to know that Spider-Man would blow her off to go do superhero work, but now MJ's a little older, a little bit more mature, and she knows full well Peter would be there if he could. It's just, other people need him more sometimes. This helps Peter feel marginally better, but only marginally, and the reason for that is that this was no regular old goodbye that Spider-Man was planning for the woman he loved. Quite the opposite. He had gotten a ring and was going to propose to MJ that night. And he begins to wonder if he missed his chance or if there'll be another sometime soon as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 29, everybody, and if you couldn't tell, this ended up being a really necessary issue. Nick Spencer buckles down and really begins to try and put into perspective what is important in the life of Peter Parker. I think so many fans were so happy and so rapturous when we found out that this book would actually put Peter and MJ back together, we stopped asking about the possibility of marriage and moving forward forward in their lives. Spencer showcases a lot of self-awareness for a lot of the characters in this book, and I think that's something they really need all this time later. They know they've done this dance a million times before, and that they're probably going to 1,000,000 times more. The ending is also pretty open-ended too. Maybe they're saying that these two will get married again at some point in the future. Maybe they're saying they'll never get married again for one reason or another. For what it's worth though, I really enjoyed this issue. It was well realized, deliberately paced, wonderfully reflective. And it shows a contemplative side of not just Spider-Man, but his supporting cast that we don't get that often in comics anymore. Overall, I'd give this one an 8.5 out of 10. I really liked it.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing me right now, it means you watched to the end of the video, of which I will always be appreciative of. It really helps with retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. If you really like my work, you can check me out on social media. I have links down in the description of the video you're watching right now to all my different socials. I got the Twitter, I got the Instagram, I got the Facebook. I'm very easy to be reached, and if you follow me there, you can be the first to know about when a new video goes live. And with that, I will bid you all adieu. Bye-bye.